Holy crap, guys. I think we just got the best part of Disney's Star Wars in episode 5 of the Ahsoka show. Hayden Christensen is back as Anakin Skywalker, and we even have some Clone Wars flashbacks, so let's talk about it. Getting to see Hayden back as Anakin is probably going to be the highlight of the entire show for me. Anakin, in my opinion, is the best part of Star Wars, and what we got in this episode just further cemented Anakin as my favorite character. Ahsoka comes to in the world between worlds and comes face to face with her old master. It's clear she isn't quite sure on what entirely just happened to her, as she seems not to remember much from the previous episode. But with a little help from Anakin, she finally remembers with Anakin telling Ahsoka that she had lost her fight with Baylan.
Trust me. You lost.
Ahsoka then asks Anakin to tell her just what the hell is going on, but all Anakin replies with is that he is there to finish her training. Anakin then tells her that she can still live, but she will have to fight for it. Ahsoka really seems like she's ready to give up and let go. She seems very tired of fighting, and she's not quite sure of herself anymore. But Anakin being Anakin is absolutely not about to let Ahsoka give up and die. This whole fight and the next couple scenes are an absolute treat. This is Anakin in his prime, guys. Hayden just looks unstoppable as Anakin, and the man literally has not lost it at all since the time of Revenge of the Sith. After Ahsoka lands a solid kick to Anakin and gives a little cheeky remark that there's not much else that he can teach her, he destroys the very floor she's standing on, causing Ahsoka to fall into the abyss. And when she gets up, we see that she's turned back into her Clone Wars self, and we start to follow her as she relives battles that she had during those years. In this first one, we see Phase 1 clone armor, as well as we finally see Anakin in his Clone Wars armor in live action for the very first time. And man, it looks great. I would absolutely love a Clone Wars live action series, and I think that would be sick. As she follows her former master, we see yet another scene from her past, which I'm assuming is on Ryloth. I only say this because you can see clones talking to some Twi'leks in the background. Captain Rex also makes an appearance in the background too. It's also in this scene where we can see just how big of a toll being thrown into the battlefield at such a young age has. During the Clone Wars, the Jedi were using essentially child soldiers in the Republic Army by having the Padawans act as commanders to the clones. It is here where Ahsoka asks Anakin what if she doesn't want to fight anymore, to which Anakin replies, "You'll die."
And you'll die.
We then see this badass scene of Anakin walking into battle as explosions happen all around him, and each time an explosion happens, we can see him turning into Darth Vader and back to Anakin again. We then get a scene from the Battle of Mandalore in the final season of the Clone Wars show. Ahsoka now has her blue lightsabers and is actively engaging in combat now. We see her take a Mandalorian super commando down, which were Darth Maul's Mandalorians when he was in control of Mandalore. Captain Rex also shows up again, this time with his hybrid Phase 1 and 2 armor. Anakin then appears again and tells Ahsoka she is a warrior now and that she's a part of everything he is, and a part of his legacy. Ahsoka is obviously struggling with her place in the legacy of her master, calling back to Baylan's comments on the very same subject from the last episode.
Your legacy, like your master's, was one of death and destruction.
It is here where a sudden change happens in Anakin, and when he ignites his lightsaber, this time it's Sith red. When he turns around, we can see his Sith eyes burning yellow. As Ahsoka and Anakin fight, this time Ahsoka is on the defensive the entire time, barely being able to fend off Anakin's aggressive attacks. Anakin kicks Ahsoka through the fog, and when she lands, back in the world between worlds, she's back as her adult self. And here is where we get my favorite scene of the entire show so far. As Anakin marches towards Ahsoka through the fog with his red lightsaber glowing, we see him going back and forth between Vader and Anakin again, and oh man, that scene gave me goosebumps the first time I watched it. I always wanted to see more Anakin after he turned to the dark side, and this is it. If you listen closely when he tells Ahsoka she lacks conviction, you can actually hear what sounds to be Vader's voice coming out too.
You lack conviction.
And just as it looks like Anakin's about to put Ahsoka out of her misery and let her end it all, she uses his aggression against him and disarms him. As the two lock eyes, you can actually see Ahsoka's eyes turn yellow as well for a split second, but then return to her normal color, finally having made up her mind to live. Anakin then backs away, and it looks like he has to take a second to get his anger under control or get Vader under control, and when he looks up again, it's the face of the Anakin Skywalker that Ahsoka knows, giving her one last smile and tells her there's hope for you yet, and disappears. Seeing Anakin again during this episode was an absolute trip. I'm really glad that he was the one that got Ahsoka out of her slump and brought her back to her old self again. So far through the show, she's been kind of emotionless, and you can tell that she seemed like she was tired of all the fighting. But after her meeting with her old master, her spirits are lifted, and it seems like she has found a purpose again in finding Ezra and Thrawn. What did you guys think of Anakin's appearance in this episode? I think Dave Filoni did an excellent job, and honestly, I think it honors the character of Anakin/Vader better than his appearance did in the Obi-Wan show. But let me know in the comments what you guys thought, and as always, thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one.